Hi, everyone. So let's talk about TNA Lockdown, which I thought was an excellent show. So, yes, let's talk about it. So, we had the Righteous Fences, Rick Swan, and BTE on the countdown to start the show, which I thought it was a fun showcase, and the Righteous won this match. So, let's talk about it. So, Rick Swan and Vincent start this match off, and Vincent charges at Rick Swan and flences him to the canvas, and Rick Swan dived down, and Vincent and tagged in BTE, and BTE dropped him with a double knee, and they slammed Vincent down, and Vincent tagged in Dutch, and BTE offended Vincent, and Dutch clipped him off of the air, and Ditch slammed him into two turnbuckles, and Ditch dropped him with Death Walk, and Vincent dropped him for a cover, and BTE kicked out at two, and Vincent tagged in Dutch, and essentially a leg drop onto BTE before Dutch locked in a chokehold. Then Dutch clothesline BTE and gets into his face of Rick Swan, and then rained down blows onto BTE, then tagged in Vincent and first take out the tag essence for BTE and slams him to the canvas, and he charges at BTE in the corner, and BTE gets a boot up to the counter, and he crawls for a tag, and Vincent persists it, and BTE strikes Vincent and gets a tag onto Rick Swan, and then Swan lights up Vincent and slams him down with a backhand and a backhand spring, a really good backhand spring. Then lands Dutch onto the outside and then crushes Vincent with a splash. Then BTE and Rick Swan lift up Vincent, and Dutch comes to the rescue. Then he knocks BTE out of the ring, and Vincent goes for a cover, and BTE roars from the top turnbuckle with a splash to break it up, and then he drops Vincent with a rolling neck break and goes for a cover, and Vincent kicks out at two, and he flies off the second rope with a clip cutter and climbs to the top rope, and Dutch slows and slows him up, and the Righteous meets BTE in the center of the ring, and Dutch sets up Vincent for a sunrise flip, and that's how they won, and that's how the Righteous defeated BTE and Rick Swan with a sunset flip. Then the system is backstage, and they are confident going into their legal lockdown match, and the gatekeepers of TNA Wrestling are ready to prove why they are the gatekeepers of TNA. Then Dore joins Tom and Matthews for the upcoming legal lockdown match, and she has full confidence in the system. And then the TNA Wrestling presents on the history for the TNA X Division Championship between Leon Slater and the X Division champion Cedric Alexander, and this has become a last man standing match. And Tom asks what went into making this decision and stuff. And then Candice Michelle, she was on the 0 Hour 2 talking and stuff. They were hyping up the show as well for other matches and stuff. And she is ready, excited for what will go down inside the steel cage. Allie will be defending her title with a mystery partner, which was Kiera Hogan, which we'll talk about that in a bit, guys, against the Elegance brand in the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team match. Then we have Elijah and AJ Francis will kick off Lockdown in the final assurance. Last time a Prince was in AJ Francis' corner, but now it will be a one-on-one match inside the steel cage. And then Just Miller is ringside to hear what the fans think about the main event for the TNA World Tag Team Championship between the Nimitz and the Hardys. Then we had Special Agent Zero Fences Trey Miguel. I thought this was a really good showcase, and some people can disagree or agree, but I thought this was a really great showcase on the countdown. So then Special Agent Zero tosses Trey Miguel across the ring, and Trey Miguel climbs to the top turnbuckle, and Special Agent Zero catches him mid-air, and they both tumble over the top rope, and Trey scores through the ropes to level Agent Zero onto the outside, and he counters and he rolls and Trey back into the ring, and he sets him across the ring with a tower German suplex, and Special Agent Zero lands a right hook and dives him down with another German suplex, and Trey rallies, connects a sin strike, sets up for a lightning spiritual and a special agent zero counter, and he slams him down, and Trey gets the 2 count and charges at Trey, and Trey counters with a back elbow and slams him with a double knee from the top turnbuckle, and Trey sends Special Agent Zero to the outside with an Izanari, and he roars over the top rope and whips out, and Special Agent Zero onto the outside, and Special Agent Zero slams Trey against the edge of the apron with a German suplex and rolls Trey back inside the ring, and Trey connects 2 back-to-back kicks and a counter out of Special Agent Zero and rolls him up for the win, and that's how Trey won and defeated Special Agent Zero. Then, then Dora Ray joins Tom and Matthews again ahead of the TNA Knockouts World Championship. Lena Black and Sia Brooks, Sia, you know what I'm trying to say, guys. Elena Black and Sia Brookside, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Sia Brookside and Elena Black's match and stuff, and hyping up that. Then Indy Hartwell joins the commentary, and Sarah Ray question why she's here, and Indy Hartwell feels she earned a spot at the TNA Knockouts World Championship next. Then the steel cage is seriously in place, and we get a sense look as to what brought us to the escape the cage match between Frankie Kazarian and Moose and stuff, and Tom and Ace still to join them, and Tom asked Ace who the real face of the um franchise is, and the main event lockdown, which we talked about that, the Hardys and the Nimitz and stuff and all that, guys, and then just Miller's inside the steel cage ahead of the matches to come, just moments away from the return of lockdown. And then we start off the main show with AJ Francis versus Elijah. Let's talk about it, guys. So AJ Francis connects with a knee strike to the moment to the bell rings, and then gets a 2 count, and Elijah presents down payment with a knee strike of his own, and Elijah forces AJ Francis to walk with Elijah, falls with a stunner, and he goes for a cover, and AJ Francis kicks out at 2, and then Elijah roars for a crossbody, and AJ Francis catches him, and Elijah tries to send AJ Francis into the steel cage, and he counters, sending Elijah face first into the steel cage. And then he sends Elijah onto his shoulder and slams Elijah's spine first into the steel bar, and he locks Elijah against the bar and slams his throat into the bar, and Francis charges at Elijah, and Francis body slams into the steel cage, and they meet at the top rope, and Elijah slams down AJ Francis from the top rope with a power bomb and goes for a cover, and Francis kicks out, and Elijah climbs to the top turnbuckle, and Francis lulls him up and meets him at the top, and Elijah sends AJ Francis toppling off the top rope and roars down with a elbow drop and goes for a cover, and Francis kicks out at 2, and Elijah climbs Elijah climbs to the top of the cage, and AJ Francis goes to meet him, and Elijah forces AJ Francis to walk with Elijah on top of the cage, and Francis slips him up before to meet him at the top of the cage, and then they exchange blows on the top of the cage, and Elijah rains down blows, and Francis headbutts Elijah, and Elijah slams Francis face first against the cage, and a superplex Francis from the top of the cage. And then the both go down in the center of the ring, and Elijah goes for a cover, and Francis kicks out at 2, and Expression is rolling down the ramp and distracting Elijah, and AJ Francis charges at him, and Elijah fences it and sets up for a Driver Destroyer, and Francis counters with cash out and goes for a cover, and Elijah kicks out at 2. Then Francis demands the ref to lock the cage, and Elijah drags him back inside, and Elijah poses up AJ Francis, draws him down and goes for a cover, and AJ Francis kicks out at 2, and Expression slams the steel door into Elijah, and AJ Francis slams into him with a LF, also again with a TL, also again with a TFL, with his TFL, which the NFL, but you can't say that, but the TFL with the TFL, and goes for a cover, and Elijah kicks out at 2, at 2, and Francis grabs Elijah for a down payment, and Elijah senses and drives him down with a first destroyer and goes for a cover, and Expression breaks it up, and Elijah sends Aggression into the steel cage, and knee strikes him and charges at Francis, and Expression tries to escape the cage, and Elijah drags him back inside, and then he drops him with a high away man farewell, and AJ Francis answers with a moonsault and slams him down with the down payment, and that's how AJ Francis defeated Elijah. And then hometown man, Jody Diener arms Elijah, and Elijah drives a guitar onto him from the top turnbuckle. Then TNA Wrestling thanks Chris Bay for the official song of Lockdown Fade Away. And then Just Miller joins one of half of the TNA Knockouts Tag Team Champions, Ali Alcyon, ahead of their match against the Alligates brand, and Ellie founds a mystery partner to join her in the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team Championship match, and it's KR Hogan, which I said, guys. And then Ellie and M by Alligates kick these things off and lands a sense blow onto M and dives a knee to M by Alligates and goes for a cover, and M by Alligates kicks out and tags are made, and KR Hogan meets Heather in the ring, and KR connects a boot to the face and drives down Heather and goes for a cover, and Heather kicks out, and then she tags in Allie, then slams into Heather, and Ellie looks to a right hand, and KR Hogan dives into her with a single leg drop kick and goes for a cover, and Heather kicks out, and Mr. Alligates climbs to the steel cage and distracts the ref, and Heather slams a night stick into Ellie and goes for a cover, and Ellie kicks out, and then Heather tags in M by Alligates, and M by Alligates charges at her in the corner, and then she slips Ellie to the canvas and drop kicks her and goes for a cover, and Ellie kicks out at 2, and M slams down Ellie with a German suplex and goes for another cover, and Ellie kicks out, and then M by Alligates pump kicks Ellie and goes for a cover, and Ellie kicks out, and then she tags in Heather, and Heather lands another blow before they go back and forth. Really good pace, guys. In my opinion, really good stuff with the women. And then goes for a cover, and Ellie kicks out at 2, and M slams down Ellie with the German suplex and goes for another cover, and Ellie kicks out. Then M by Alligates pumps Ellie and goes for a cover, and Ellie kicks out, and then she tags in Heather, and Heather lands a sense blow before locking in her in a choke hold, and Ellie escapes and gets a push. I was thinking a bunch. I was thinking a bunch needed to tag onto KR Hogan, and KR Hogan lights up the Alligates brand, slams into Heather with a drop kick and hip attacks Heather into the corner and toe hold, and M by Alligates goes for a cover, and Heather breaks it up, and Ellie connects double knee onto Heather, and M drops Ellie. All four go down center of the ring, and Heather escapes through the cage and grabs the handcuffs and tries to slip back into the ring, and Ellie interferes, and then that's what happens. And then Heather slams Ellie head first into the steel cage and locks her into the handcuffs against the steel cage, and KR Hogan drops M and connects a big right hand and drives down M by Alligates to win the match, and that's how KR Hogan and Ellie won the match, and won the knockouts tag team titles and defeated Heather and M by Alligates. I love the Alligates brand, even though they lost. I thought something was going to happen and them winning or something, but it didn't happen. But still, I loved it. Then we had Moose versus Frankie Kazarian. I thought this was a good match, guys. Even though I wanted Moose to win, but still a good match. So let's talk about it. The bell rings, and Frankie Kazarian essentially tries to climb out of the ring, and Moose presents Frankie Kazarian from exiting the cage and slams him against the steel cage, and Moose lands him face first into the steel, and he demands the ref to lock the steel cage and rains down blows onto Frankie Kazarian, and he fires back with cinch strikes, and Moose answers by going off the cage and flanges Frankie Kazarian with a crossbody, and Moose spears Frankie Kazarian, and he sets up for another spear and slams down Frankie Kazarian, and he starts to climb out of the cage, and Frankie Kazarian taunts Moose, and Moose charges at Frankie Kazarian, and he dives Moose into the steel cage, and he dumps on Moose and essentially times and lands back-to-back strikes onto him, and Moose charges at Frankie Kazarian again, and he descends Moose, and Moose goes head first into the steel cage, and Frankie strikes Moose twice, and he sends him or sends into the top turnbuckle, and he German suplexes Moose and dives down Moose with an angel swing, and Frankie Kazarian lands a sense big strike right hand, and Moose fires up with a headbutt and a back elbow strike, and Frankie Kazarian twice drops him with an Inzanari and crushes him with a suicide, and Moose starts with his climb, and Frankie Kazarian cuts him down and connects a backbreaker onto Moose and a drop kick onto him from the top middle rope, and Frankie Kazarian sets up for a chicken swing and set up for a fade to black, and Moose enters by setting up for a powerbomb, and Frankie Kazarian fences it, and they trade blows center of the ring, and Frankie Kazarian enters with a big forearm shoveler and a pump kick, and then he drops Moose with a spinning neck breaker and sets up for a right leg drop, and Moose powerbombs him into the steel cage, and Frankie Kazarian cuts him down, and Moose and then both go down in center of the ring, and Moose and Frankie Kazarian start to climb the cage, and Frankie Kazarian ascends to top, and Moose drags him back inside, and Moose headbutts Frankie Kazarian and drives him down with a Spanish fly from the top of the cage, and then Moose tries to get out of the cage, and Frankie Kazarian drags him back into with a slingshot cutter, and Frankie Kazarian tries to get out of the steel cage, and Moose grabs him, and Moose spears Frankie Kazarian out of the steel cage, and that's what happened, guys, and that's how Frankie Kazarian defeated Moose. Then we had Saya Brookside fences Atlanta Black for the TNA Knockouts World Championship, guys. My opinion, I thought this match was amazing. A lot of people said it wasn't, but I thought it was amazing. This is my opinion. So anyways, let's talk about it, guys. And I bet you a lot of articles said that they didn't like it, but it's my opinion. So let's talk about it. So Atlanta Black slams Saya Brookside to the canvas, and she lifts up Brookside and slams her down again. And Atlanta Black low drop kicks Brookside and dives Brookside into her knee, and Atlanta rounds off the ropes and flips Brookside to the canvas, and she drives Sicily knee strike into Brookside, and Brookside ascends to assist knee strike into Brookside, and Brookside ascends to the last one, sending Atlanta Black topping between the ropes, and she slams Atlanta into the steel cage Sicily times and drop kicks her into the steel cage, and Indy Hartwell ascends backstage watching this match unfold. Then Brookside whips to Liv's belt around her ankle and lands and sends strike into her, and Brookside sends to the belt buck into Atlanta Black and slams her face first into the canvas, and she continues to use the feather belt and sends a blow into her, and Brookside ties her up and around the ropes, and Saya Brookside uses the belt to slam Atlanta Black into the canvas and goes for a cover, and Atlanta Black kicks out at 2. And then Saya Brookside continues attacking Atlanta Black's injury, and she rips her down to the canvas by the hair, and she locks Atlanta Black against the steel cage with the belt and dives a boot into her, and Atlanta Black fires back with several strikes, and Saya Brookside slams her down with a clothesline, and she locks Atlanta Black into an arm lock, and Atlanta Black fires back and charges at Brookside and goes elbow first into the steel, and Saya Brookside lands a sense stomp onto her and crushing into her with a broken swing, and she goes for a cover, and Atlanta Black kicks out at 2. Then Atlanta Black rallies and sends a strike and crews Brookside into her shoulder, and Brookside climbs to the steel cage and fences her, and Saya Brookside drives down Brookside with a belly to back suplex, and both go down in center of the ring. And that's what happened right there. And I appreciate you stopping in here. I'm doing good, bro. Thanks for commenting. I appreciate you commenting in here and stuff. Then Atlanta Black slams down Brookside with 2 clotheslines and 2 stomps onto her back, and she drops Brookside with a gunt wrench, us again with a gunt wrench and goes for a cover and Brookside kicks out and then Brookside drops down Elena Black with a double knee into Dark Side and goes for a cover and Elena Black kicks out at 2. Then Elena Black slams her down with a blackout and Saya Brookside kicks out at 2 and Saya Brookside tries to send a powder into Elena Black's face with a powder and senses it and rolls her up and Asaya Brookside kicks out and throws powder into her eye and rolls her up and that's how she won. Then we had this match toward the plates down. Oh, this match right here, I love. This place erupted in my opinion. This I would erupted in this one because this one was just man, I'm telling you, like top notch. Just I'm telling you, this was like top notch to me. Like the best match of the night. Mustafa Ali fences Jason Hutch. Let's talk about it. This match was the match of the night for me, in my opinion. But let's talk about it. So Jason Hutch dives down. Mustafa Ali tosses him into the turnbuckle and straps him against the steel cage. And Hutch lands a sensory super kick. And Mustafa Ali answers with a super kick of his own. And then stages Hutch. And Hutch meets Ali at the top rope and launches him across the ring. And he slams into him with a disgust clothesline and goes for a cover. And Ali kicks out at 2, and then Ali goes face first into the steel cage, and Hutch drives him down with a DDT and goes for a cover, and Ali kicks out at 2. Then Ali dives Hutch face first into the top turnbuckle, and then back elbow strikes him and sets up Hutch on the ropes, and Ali sets up to dive down Hutch from top turnbuckle, and Hutch crushes Mustafa Ali with a pile driver from the top turnbuckle, and Jason Hutch continues and power bombs him and goes for a cover, and Ali kicks out, and Ali roars off the top rope and slams down Jason Hutch with a DDT, and Mustafa Ali kicks out at 2. Then Special Agent Zero unlocks the cage for Mustafa Ali, and Tasha Stills slams it closed, and Mella Moore gets into the face of Stills, and Stills slams her into the canvas, and Hutch charges at Ali and catches Stills with the chair, and he rushes to Stills, and John Schuyler takes Stills up to the ramp, and Ali dives through the door and levels Hutch onto the outside and slams Hutch against the steel post, and Hutch counters Ali by flinging him onto the outside, and Hutch sets up Ali onto the table and starts to climb the cage, and Ali meets him on the cage, and Ali falls from the cage, and Hutch finishes his climb to the top of the steel cage and dives Ali through the table from the top of the steel cage, and TNA ringside officials tried to carry Hutch out of the ring and taunt Hutch with his family, and Mustafa Ali climbs back into the ring, and Melamore hands him a lighter, and Jason Hutch dives into Mustafa Ali and lands a six blow, and he sets up Hutch against the steel cage and slams Hutch own belt against him, and Mustafa Ali sets up Hutch up onto the ropes, and Hutch answers with a double stomp from the top of the steel cage, then goes for a cover, and Mustafa Ali kicks out, and Mustafa Ali spears Jason Hutch and climbs to the top rope and crushes him with a Suicide 450 and goes for a cover. Then Hutch kicks out at 2, and then Mustafa Ali dives a sense stomp into Jason Hutch in a sense with another Suicide 450 and wins the match. And that's how Mustafa Ali defeated Jason Hutch and became the TNA International Champion once again. Then John Schuyler helps Jason Hutch out of the steel cage after the match, and then Dylan Moore welcomes AJ Styles' son. Yes, AJ Styles' son is in TNA, man. I'm so happy for this dude, for his son. He's going to have a great career. I think he's going to have an amazing career. AJ Styles' son, man, I'm telling you. New generation out with the new generation of his, styles, was two styles, but man, I'm telling you guys. Oh man, I'm telling you. I think there's a lot of good future for this kid. I'm telling you. But anyways, let's talk about it, guys. I don't like talking about personal stuff, but there was some other stuff with him, and all of that. But yeah, but let's talk about it. So for so every Styles announces that he officially signed with TNA Wrestling, and Frankie Kazarian interrupts the moment and he considers himself a brother of AJ Styles and warns every Styles. And then we had this match. Oh man, this was another great match. Leon Slater versus Cedric Alexander, last man standing. Let's talk about it. Oh man, oh man, this was amazing. So the only way to win is essentially to the other for a ref to count 10, and the bell rings, and the brother assistants start trading blows, and Leon lands a drop kick and rains down blows for a 9 count, and Cedric enters by diving Leon into the canvas and tries to send Leon into the still, and Leon prevents it and rebounds off the ropes to flanted Cedric, and he connects a boot to the face of Cedric and climbs to the cage and dives a back elbow into Cedric, and Cedric chomps Leon and sends Leon onto his shoulder and sends him face first into the steel cage, and Cedric sends a swift blows into Leon and drop kicks him to the back of the neck, and Leon rallies at the 5 count, and Cedric drops him into the canvas again, and Cedric dives a sense boot into Leon Slater's face, and Leon Slater enters, slamming him down with a standing blue thunderbomb, and Leon Slater climbs to the ropes, and Cedric Alexander meets him at the top turnbuckle, and Cedric Alexander catches Leon Slater and drives him down from the top turnbuckle with a driver, and then the ref starts the count of 10, the 10 count, and once again the ref starts the 10 count, and Leon Slater grabs us again. Leon Slater gets up at the 8 count, and then Leon Slater crushes Cedric Alexander with a destroyer, and then slams him assistly times into the steel cage, and then Cedric goes down, and the ref starts the 10 count, and then Cedric starts to stir, and then Leon slams a boot into the side of Cedric's head, and sends him up onto his shoulder, and drops him with a sense, and he sets for a Suicide 450, and Leon senses it, and they both meet at the top turnbuckle, and Leon drives down Cedric with a twisting superplex, and they both go down in the center of the ring, and then they go rally at the 9 count, and Leon Slater drops Cedric Alexander and connects a boot to the back of his neck. And then Leon drives down Cedric Alexander with 3 back-to-back Labar checks, and he climbs to the top turnbuckle and crushes him with a Suicide 450, and Cedric Alexander begins to rally at the 9 count, and he couldn't get back up, and Leon Slater remained the last man standing, and that's what happened. And always last man standing matches end with, if you can't get up at the count of 10, then the match is over. Then Dora Ray is on the phone over Indy Hartwell, and security rush to get her because Elijah is down backstage, and Santino Marella is there to help him. And then we had the legal lockdown. Oh man, with the system taking on Giovanni Vince and Casey Navarro and Ricky Soa and Jenna Stones. Oh man, I'm telling you, this was good. This was good, man. I'm telling you, this was crazy. Like it was so good. I loved it, man. I'm telling you. This match right here, let's talk about it, guys. Let's talk about this. So Giovanni Vinci sits inside the ring, and these two assistants start to trade blows, and Giovanni Vinci rains down blows onto Bear Branson and tries to send him into the steel cage, and Bear Branson defenses it with a back elbow strike, and Giovanni Vinci German suplexes Bear, and he answers with a German suplex of his own, and they collide into each other, and they both go down, and Bear Branson lands a boot to the face of Giovanni Vinci, and has sent Bear up onto his shoulders and slams him down, and he moonsaults off the ropes onto Bear, and the next member of the system joins the match, and Brian Myers enters the cage, and the both rain down blows onto Giovanni Vinci, and the German suplex Giovanni Vinci together, and KC Navarro enters the ring and drops Brian Myers and sends Bear Branson face first into the steel cage, and he helps Giovanni Vinci to his feet, and Bear Branson is sent into the steel cage, and Eddie Edwards rushes into the cage, and Casey dives through the door and ropes to the takeout Eddie Edwards onto the outside, and Brian Myers and Bear Branson look to turn the tights and sent Casey to the steel cage, and Ricky Showa enters the ring and drops Brian Myers and slams down Eddie Edwards and drives him down, and Bear Branson with a cutter, and Alicia Edwards enters the cage and gets into the face of Ricky Showa, and the system attack him from behind, and Bear Branson meets Stones, Jenna Stones onto the outside, and Jenna Stones climbs to the steel cage to level the system on the inside, and legal lockdown officially begins, and Casey Navarro grabs a steel bat, and Giovanni Vinci and Ricky Soa dives steel chair into the system, and Jenna Stone slams this candlestick into Bear Branson, and Casey presents Eddie Edwards from grabbing a stop sign. I'll say it again, a stop sign. Guys, they did all kinds of crazy stuff in this match. I love it. You know what I'm saying? And Casey crushes Eddie Edwards with a splash and goes for a cover, and the system break it up. I'll say it again, break it up. And Jenna Stone ascends another candlestick, and Alicia Edwards saves Eddie Edwards with a low blow, and Jenna Stones enters by slamming the candlestick into Alicia and super kicks Eddie Edwards, and she sprinkles thumbtacks onto the floor and sends Alicia onto her shoulder, and Alicia reverses it, and Jenna Stones and Alicia Edwards meet on the top turnbuckle, and they crash down with a superplex on the tacks, which was insane, man. Man. Then Giovanni Vinci sets up Eddie Edwards into the corner and goes coast to coast into Eddie Edwards, and Bear Branson dives a barbed wire bat into Giovanni Vinci and Casey, and dives down Casey Navarro with Bear down into Giovanni Vinci, and Bear Branson sets up the barbed wire board to try to put Casey into it, and Ricky Soa head shots Bear into it, and then Ricky Soa drives down Brian Myers with a blue thunder bang into the tacks and grabs a prune of barbed wires and wraps it around his arms. Oh man, I'm telling you, crazy. Slams into Brian Myers with a barbed wire head shot, and then Alicia Edwards breaks it up, and Eddie Edwards slams into Ricky Soas from behind with a Boston knee party, and Alicia and Eddie Edwards set up a steel chair, and Eddie packaged power driver Ricky Soa through the steel chair to win, and that's how they won the legal lockdown. That was crazy. All the weapons in there and all that, and just all the chaotic stuff, man. Loved it, man. And the system won and defeated, like I said, Ricky Soa's team with, Casey Navarro and Giovanni Vinci and Jenna Stones. Then Bound for Glory will be live Sunday, October 11th. That's my cousin's birthday. So yeah, that's my cousin's birthday, guys. October 11th, we got Bound for Glory. That's gonna be cool. I'm gonna have him watch it with me or something. We're gonna do something cool probably. And then we have the return of Destruction of X. I'll say it again, guys. The return of Destination X is returning. Yes, guys, the Destination X returns November 15th, baby. November 15th. That's my brother's birthday, guys. Crazy, huh? My brother's birthday is that, and then my cousin's birthday is the one for Bounce for Glory. Crazy. Telling you. Then lockdown. We got the Nimitz taking on the Hardys, which was this was the main event, guys. Let's talk about the main event with the Nimitz fences the Hardys. So the Hardys entered the cage, and Ryan and Nick Nimitz attacked them, and the Hardys sent the Nimitz brothers into the steel cage at the same time as Sicily time, and the Hardys drop Ryan Nimitz and go for a cover, and Ryan kicks out at 2, and the Hardys slam into Nick Nimitz with her sense in motion and goes for a cover, and Nick Nimitz kicks out, and Ryan and Nick climb to the steel cage, and they trade blows, and the Nimitz brothers slam the Hardys into the steel cage, and Nick Nimitz drives down Matt Hardy with a danger zone and goes for a cover, and Jeff Hardy breaks it up, and Ryan Nemeth slams down Jeff Hardy with a flat lantern, and Nick Nemeth falls with a danger zone and goes for a cover, and Jeff Hardy kicks out, and Matt Hardy bites at Nick Nemeth to escape him, and Ryan Nemeth spears Matt Hardy into the corner, and Nick Nemeth sets up the table and charges at Matt Hardy and crushes into Ryan Nemeth instead, and Matt drops Nick Nemeth with a belly back suplex and sets up for a twist of fate onto Ryan, and Ryan Nemeth fences it, and Jeff Hardy drives down Nick Nemeth with a twist of fate, and Nick Nemeth regrounds off the top with a super kick, and everyone goes down into the ring, and Matt Hardy attacks Nick Nemeth into the corner, and Matt Hardy deletes Ryan Nemeth, and Matt Hardy sets up Nick Nemeth for sense motions, and Matt Hardy slams him down with a side effect, and Jeff Hardy roars from the top rope with a Suicide 450 and goes for a cover, and Ryan Nemeth breaks it up, and Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy drop Ryan with a cinch twist and goes for a cover, and Nick Nemeth breaks it up. Then Matt Hardy locks Nick Nemeth against the steel cage, and the Hardy sets up the table, and they set up Nick Nemeth onto the table, and Ryan goes for a low blow onto Matt, and he goes for a cover, and Jeff Hardy breaks it up, and Jeff Hardy sets up the twist of fate, and Ryan offenses it and shoves Jeff into Nick for a super kick, and Ryan falls with a limping DDT and goes for a cover, and Matt breaks it up, and Nick bites at Matt and looks for a super kick, and Matt enters with a side effect, and Ryan slows up Matt, and he drops Ryan with a big right hook, then drives down Ryan with a twist of fate and sets up Ryan onto the table, and Jeff climbs to the top rope, and Jeff climbs to the steel cage, and Nick stalls up stalls up after him. Then Nick Nemeth and Jeff Hardy fall from the top rope, and Matt Hardy sets up for the twist of fate, and Ryan Nemeth rolls through for a pin, and Jeff Hardy kicks out, and he falls with another twist of fate and sets up Ryan onto the table, and Jeff Hardy steals the steel cage, and he deletes Ryan Nemeth through the table with an elbow drop. Then he sets up for a cover, and Nick Nemeth drives down Matt Hardy with the danger zone, and that's how they won, guys. And that's how the Nemeth brothers defeated the Hardys and became once again the tag team champions of TNA. The TNA World Tag Team Champs. Then the TNA X Division champion Leon Slater interrupts the Nemeth brothers celebration and folks an option C to take on Nick Nemeth in the TNA World Championship and Bound for Glory. My thoughts, guys. I give this show a 10 out of 10. My opinion, I give this show a 10 out of 10. It was the matches that I liked was Mustafa Ali versus Jason Hutch. I liked the match with Saya Brookside and Elena Black. I loved that match as well. And I love that 0 hour that's AEW. The countdown with Trey Miguel and Special Agent Cyril. That was really good as well, guys. A lot of those matches were good. I'm telling you, I'm happy that Lockdown was this year. I hope they continue Lockdown because that's like a lot of history with Lockdown. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I hope that they do it every year, and that's all I got to say about Lockdown. And I'm happy they're bringing back, like I said again, I'm so happy they're bringing back Destination X on November 15th. So, yes, guys, that's another one as well. So, yes, guys, that's all I have to say. So, yep, excellent show, 10 out of 10 for me. So don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit those notification bells. As always, guys, this is CJD 2006, and peace out and take care, and much love, and much love, and much love.